Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and today we are talking about RayLib. Now you may notice from this channel, if you've here in the past, you'll notice I love RayLib, and that continues to this day. Why? Well, because quite frankly, this is probably the easiest way to get started with C programming, or just game programming in general. If you want to approach it from a code perspective, if you want to learn from coding, and you find a lot of times the tool chain and the setup for something like C or C++ are nasty, and RayLib makes that super simple. On top of that, RayLib is as portable as it can get, but we're also talking about it today because RayLib 6 just shipped. So first off, a little bit of detail about RayLib. Here is the summary. RayLib is a simple and easy to use library to enjoy video game programming. The last part is definitely true. The first part is definitely underselling what RayLib is, because it's actually a huge collection of libraries. Those libraries you can actually use independently. You kind of slot them in and out of your own project if you wish. And it's also incredibly portable to a number of different libraries. Now, I mentioned earlier on, this is all about code. And in C, if you're using C, it's about the easiest way to get started with the C programming language, but that is just the tip of the iceberg, because as you can see, there are language bindings for everything. So C#, I forget what this one is every single time. Go, Lua, Python, Rust, Zig, Odin, Beef, you name it. Programming languages out there. I almost guarantee you that there are RayLib language bindings for it, and it still remains a very simple to use framework. Now, I mentioned earlier on, it is also these chunks or these buildable pieces. So, for example, if you need a PNG library or a GUI library or an audio library or just math, they've got these individual chunks that you can use independently. It's very modular that way. And the other thing that's super impressive about RayLib, and one of the reasons why you can get up and running with it so easily, is there are like almost zero dependencies on other technology. It makes it really easy to build it. So no external dependency. All the required libraries are included with RayLib. That makes it super fast and simple for you to get up and going. And on top of that, you got a ton of different platforms being supported here as well, including now we're starting to get into like microcontroller platforms, because this is in fact so portable. On top of that, there is a ton of functionality out of the box. You can see how it all kind of slots together. Behind the scenes, you got various different renderers, including full-on software renderers. So once again, you can run RayLib on just about any hardware you could possibly imagine. Another thing that I really like about RayLib is really all you need to know is this. It's a cheat sheet. It shows you everything you need to know to get started using this. This used to be the way things were done back in the 90s. Documentation mostly boiled down to a simple cheat sheet. And realistically, this, you could print it off, put it beside you, and this is 90% of the documentation you ever need to get up and running with RayLib. It is a super impressive framework in that regard. Obviously, it is also free and open source, which I applaud. But let's go ahead on over and look what's new in RayLib 6. So what have we added here? Well, there's a lot of really low-level fundamental things that have changed it here. You see here again, 330 issues closed, 200 commits since the previous release, 20 new functions were added, 70 new examples. That is huge. The examples we'll get back to in just a second, but examples are other part of it. So along with the cheat sheet and examples, you can get up and going with RayLib super easy. So what have they added here on total? Oh, also this one's impressive. It's picked up 210 new contributors. So it's definitely a growing project up on GitHub. All right, so first thing we now have is a software renderer. Remember a second ago, I showed you the technology stack. Let me just do it back here. So you see here on the back end, so you've used OpenGL or Vulkan or Metal or whatever. Well, you can also now use software via RLSW. This means anything you port that software layer to, you can run it on. This means you can run RayLib on your fridge if you want to adapt the software layer. So an entire software CPU-based rendering system is now available. This enabled someone to port it over to the ESP32 microcontroller as an example. So this is going to open up RayLib to a whole world of other software out there. I also know that RayLib is often used for like retro games. If you're doing like old consoles or etc., you can port RayLib to it pretty easy. Another thing that they've done, again, keep in mind RayLib can run on just about anything. Well, they've also abstracted away the memory aspect. Our core memory, so this new platform has been added along with the software renderer backend, allowing 2D and 3D rendering over a platform agnostic memory frame buffer. It can run headless, and output frames can be directly exported to images. Frameless basically means it doesn't render on screen, so you can use this as a tool tool at the same time. New backend could also be useful for graphics rendering on servers or processing images directly using the memory buffer. We also have a new platform backend, which is Win32. It does sound a little funny calling Win32 new, but hey, it does make sense. At the same time, we also have a new backend platform called Mscripten. Mscripten is a way of basically compiling C code over into JavaScript, so you can run this stuff in the browser. So backend is new and it could require further testing. So it's experimental at this point in time. Don't expect it to work wonderfully, but look at this. It joins all these other backends that are available. So there's the new memory renderer there. You've got the new, again, software ray tracer going on. Win32 support joins Android, DRM, Web RGFM, Web Mscripten, and then various different desktop supports as well. They also redesigned the full screen mode and the high DPI context scaling. High DPI is one of those things where even more and more like just generic laptops are coming in with like 3K-ish resolutions, and if you don't have good DPI scaling on like a 13-inch screen, it's going to be illegible. So high DPI support is definitely nice. New system has been carefully tested on Windows X11, also including Wayland, Mac OS with multiple monitors, multiple resolutions, including 4K monitors. They also redesigned the skeletal animation system, so you can see it in action right here. I don't know why, but embedded videos on GitHub site always play terribly. I don't know what's going on there, but a new animation system for 3D models has been created to support animation blending between single frames, but also between different frames on different models to allow easy transitions between animations. By the way, this also illustrates, this is not just a 2D library. It can also do 3D, as you can see from this 3D model. Also updates to the build config system, also the file system API. Again, this framework abstracts away so much of the underlying platform and hardware details and again, you can pull out the individual pieces that you want to use. So if you just want to use R core, you could do that as well. So along the years, multiple file system functions have been added to RayLib API as required, but it felt somewhat inconsistent with some pieces missing. In this release, the full file system API has been reviewed and reorganized, compiling all the functionality into a single module. R core, consequentially, utils module has been removed, and the build system has been simplified. So it's just a bit of a cleanup. So various different file system access file functions are there. Text management API, along with the new file system functionality, a new set of text management functions has been added, also very useful for text processing and used in custom build system creation using RayLib. At the moment, RayLib includes 30 plus text management functions. Once again, generally all you need to know is on the cheat sheet, which is very cool. And then they've also got a new tool called the Example Manager. So this is REXM. It's a collection of huge, because 200 plus examples are now. This is for managing them, keeping them together, making it easier for people to contribute to them, and so on. Speaking of examples, there are a ton of them, and now there are 70 more. And part of that is thanks to the REXM and the simplification of the whole examples project. People in the community can contribute examples a lot easier and so on. So that is lovely to see. And that kind of is the gist of it. That is the RayLib 6 release over on GitHub. Again, this project is up on GitHub. You can see here it is available under the zlib license, which is a permissive license. The code itself is written, the vast majority of it is in C. You see probably bindings at this point in time, and then config scripts and so on. They're up to 844 contributors, which is very impressive. But if you like what they're doing here, do come in and give them a star, even though RayLib now has a whole ton of stars. And I actually want to go back in time to my very first RayLib video, like when I covered, I think it was RayLib 1. And I want to see what the stars were at then, because I think it was double digit maybe at this point in time. So it's awesome to see this project continue to grow and expand and become what it has. Again, if you're interested, you should probably come over here. It's available at raylib.com. Now what we're looking at right now is the examples part of it, and this is another key part. So along with the cheat sheet, the examples, all you need to get up and going. You're going to see here, by the way, you can drill down to just a particular area if you're interested there, or if you're looking for a specific function, you could do it there. I don't actually know one offhand, but you can search down. So get frame time. So there, you want to filter down to just those examples. You can do that there. You can run these in the browser. You can see the source code for them down here below. Again, between this and the cheat sheet, that is generally all you need to know to get up and running with RayLib. And again, one of the super impressive, awesome things about RayLib is, again, that modularity, so it can run on just about everything. And then on top of that, the bindings are available for just about every language you could imagine. And you can just pull out the single header file for whatever you need. If you want to just use a particular library or a particular tool that comes with it, you can do that as well. So ladies and gentlemen, that is RayLib 6. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.